concerns that he had asked that we try to address. We have done that, and Bill has indicated that these changes were satisfactory to address the concerns that he had. One being the when the agreement would be considered terminated, and then the other is how do we resolve any disputes as to additional maintenance that needs to be done.
You know, the gentleman this morning raised one thing, though, I think we need to have in here, and that is how this third party is picked. And I think he points out that under this agreement, that would be you guys do that. I think it should be jointly done between the county and Pipestone, and so that we have a say in who gets picked. That makes common sense, and I don't think that's a problem, but it certainly should be addressed, and both parties have a say in who we pick, so that it doesn't look like either one of us is trying to homer the other.
Sure. Which would you care to address that?
Yeah,
Or just put it in, I don't need to put it in.
Go ahead. Sure.
please step up and then state your name for the record, please. Before you can get down.
All right. My name is Butch Wallace, last name W-A-L-L-A-C-E. Part of the, again, most of what has been done thus far as road assessments is simply the scope of the work. As far as picking vendors or consultants, we're not down that road yet. Certainly, I think your suggestion is agreeable to us. We would be interested in.
Well, I think it's important, and I don't care about how you get there,
Right.
but we should have in the agreement that if the third party is picked
Mutually.
with mutual consent between the parties. And I just wanted to raise that before we got through it. We don't need to go through all of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Bill, is that something that you would suggest then, that we just make a change to the agreement as last revised?
Yeah, that should be included. That this third-party consultant will be picked mutually by pipeline and county, and at the agreement of both. So
Okay. Who do you think we would coordinate that with?
probably me.
Okay.
Or, well,
We're going to include our interim highway superintendent on
yeah.
that as well.
Coordinate that with him too, because he would be involved in making that decision.
Were there any other comments or questions concerning the agreement?
I think there were some board members that did have some additional items they would like to address in regards to this agreement. Paul, I know you have.
I still think that the haul route agreement, everybody who's on that road should receive a letter stating that they're gonna be affected, and that letter, there should be a number at the bottom that if these semi-drivers or whatever are running stop signs or something, that person has the access to contacting one person, and they don't get the runaround. I have asked, as far as the third party thing, if you want to pursue it, and I don't know if I mentioned it to Brad or not, about having somebody from the county, if you want to do it coincide together with your person, or our county guy's gonna document it separate from your person, however you want to do it. I have asked, and that person has expressed interest, depending when this all happens, that he'd be willing to do it. He's a county employee. He could work with your third-party person and drive it together. So I have done that.
If I could address that for just a second. That is in the agreement, that the county would participate in that, and the assessment is subject to your review.
Okay, that's that.
Yeah, that's a very important part of the process, is that your superintendent participate in it.
Well, it may not necessarily be him on everything, because he has his plate full as it is. You know, this is another person. He ends up having the say, I mean,
Okay.
as far as that goes, but this person would go along and just document it. with your third party, or if you wanna go all together and get somebody totally different and the county agrees on it, I'm okay with that part.
It's gonna be our third party.
Yeah. So, what else is there? I know I'm big on the one-person contact issue. I'm very much for that. Because all too often, and we're seeing it with a certain road in the county right now, the state says one thing and the county, you know, doesn't have access, and then the county says, well, the state says we can't do it, so then nobody claims responsibility.
Yeah, as far as those kind of requests for action, would you think that it would be best if those were routed through your road superintendent? So he would know that they're being addressed consistently?
What do you mean?
Well, we could have people calling in, taking inconsistent positions.
Yeah, but if TransCanada or whatever, Keystone, provides us with one person that we talk to.
Right.
Okay,
I think
so-
maybe a way to approach this is if there's anyone in the public that has an issue or anyone on the board that has an issue, we have our guy, our highway superintendent, but I think what Paul would like is that TransCanada have one guy, gal, whomever, one person who we know we can get a hold of, so it's not 2 months down the road it's somebody else, or
And we're not getting to run
you need to
around.
call this person in this place or this person in that place. We would just like to have one person throughout this entire process as this pipeline goes through, should it be permitted to go through, that is the contact person during this construction phase.
So if people in the county call either us commissioners, we have one person we call, or if they call Brad, he has one person, or if you notify the people that are affected with a letter that they have one person, and hopefully they can go directly to the source. Because you know how it is when you start calling one person, and pretty soon translation gets lost and it takes more time.
Right, during construction, I would be the main contact. As far as construction-related items, like road items. However, general information will come from Bud or Jeff Rao to you guys.
In order to supply an answer, Tracy may need to contact others within the company that have a specialty in that area, but she would be the person that would be communicating with you. And it would probably be better, I would think this is correct, Tracy, if instead of each of the residents contacting you, that the road superintendent contact you with their concerns, and then you address it from there. Would that be satisfactory?
But is this a contact that's 24 hours or just?
She's
8 to
always
5?
available.
My phone's always on.
Now, I could see if it's a road-related issue that Brad be involved. However, if it's not a road-related issue, then
If
who would the
if
public,
it's-
who would be their contact then?
They would need to contact, you guys would probably need to contact Buddy Emerson or Jeff Rao. If it's a permitting related issue, such as the undercrossing or an ingress egress for a driveway, that would still be something I would take care of.
But
But
I
a
want to
general
be sure,
concern.
this agreement we're talking about now doesn't have to do with laying pipe through anything or paying the, what do you do with, if you have to cross a county road, for example? I'm sure you have to do that.
That's under a separate agreement.
That's a separate agreement.
It's
Okay, I just
under
want to make
permitting,
sure that
yeah.
we're only talking about here today
The haul route.
the haul routes and the damage they do because they're running back and forth on the roads.
Right, and this agreement's really the beginning steps of this. The roads we have worked with your road department to select are roads that we believe we will want to use during construction. Until the third party does the review, I don't know whether or not we'll agree to use that road. You guys may tell me we can't. You may tell me that it requires other things. You may require different things from us at that time.
But that's governed by a different agreement. Wouldn't be governed by a haul agreement.
It would be attached to it, and we'll move forward with it. I think we'll continue to add things to it. Well, I do have a list of roads, and I provided you with the list of roads.
Yeah, but see, what I'm getting at here is I want to make sure we understand that we're talking about damage you do by hauling stuff over our roads. Not by cutting through a road and putting a pipe down or anything like that. That's a separate issue in some other agreement, I guess.
It is, it's under, it would be a road permit undercrossing.
Okay.
And your driveways are separate as well. According to the information I received from Don, the previous road superintendent, all those undercrossings are separate.
So, this agreement that we're discussing right now, say for example, should you can't bore under the road, you have to cut into the road and lay the pipe in that fashion. This agreement wouldn't cover any kind of damage or liability, say the ground settles a little bit around that pipeline.
What
Where
covers
is
that?
where is that covered?
That will come under, with the undercross permit.
Okay,
And
then-
how long do you go back as far as, say you finished January of 2013, how many months after that or years will you go back because dirt settles?
If the dirt settles directly on top of it, clearly, and it's obvious settlement, it would be something that we'd have to take care of.
But again,
And that
that's
would be
in another
something-
agreement. This is
It
simply
is.
just a haul
It
agreement.
is. The haul route agreement is, you're absolutely correct, sir. The haul
And we
route
want to
agreement is
understand that
different.
to make sure that's true, so we know what we're signing today.
Right, and those, like you said, those permit, if it's a permit, then like how does that work if there's?
Don't know.
If there's damage to a road, meaning if,
That's a separate issue. Yeah.
In that permit, that's an agreement in itself, and it will say that we take care of that problem.
and is that something that's brought to this board for approval then? And at what time frame would that happen?
When they ask for, they want all the road crossings granted at one time. They're not gonna do them individual. So, I would go out and inspect the site and then okay it. Okay.
But they go through our road and cause damage. A normal condemnation thing, if we were a landowner, we'd seek compensation. And I'm not saying that they want to, but I'm just trying to figure out how this whole thing's gonna work. And we will wanna see it, of course, in writing before we sign anything to it.
Well, absolutely, and every county is set up a little differently. It was my understanding that
We
there'd
don't
be.
care about anybody but York County, and we wanna look at what it is for York County.
I understand, it was my understanding through the highway department, York County Road Department, that we would do an undercross permit, and then we would do the driveways where we cross up and over the roads separately.
Okay.
And those have nothing to do with the haul route agreement. Those will all be covered later. However, in the letter, the general letter that John Hunt did send, it does tell you that we will take care of any issues related
Well,
to
yeah,
the
but
pipeline and pipeline
we lawyers
construction.
know that we wanna have it in the agreement and not let it hang out all day to see what happens down the road.
I
You know,
understand.
You know, I mean, we need to have an agreement.
Do you have forms of those permits that you can lay your hands on? Or-
Yes, but we're gonna have more made up for that purpose, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And you also gotta bear with us, 3 of us are new here.
Okay.
And, you know, some of this we're getting learned fairly quick.
And not to confuse the issue, but on the undercrossing and the ingress egress, we will supply you with detailed engineering drawings. Those were already requested over a year ago. So you'll know exactly where we're going to cross underneath each county road.
Any other questions? At what point would the pipeline start bringing material into York County, the construction material itself, and be hauling on the roads? Would you wait until there's an actual permit issued by the State Department, or is this something where you'll want to begin setting up in anticipation of there being a permit issued by the State Department, or what's your guys' timeline on that? Or
We're-
thoughts on that?
We will start moving things immediately after the State Department signs. That's one reason why we want to go ahead and get some of these items put into place in advance, so that way we're ready to go. And, you know, like you said, it is a learning curve for many of you, and it takes time to digest this information. That's why we want to approach it early enough so you have time.
How solid is your route? I mean, it's probably, could it change a little bit, or is it pretty much that's what it's gonna be?
Let me,
According to this map that you gave us last time you were here.
right,
You're talking about the pipeline route
Yeah.
or the road routing?
Well, the road routing and whatnot, you know, we decide, say we sign this, you know, today or in 2 weeks or whenever, and then all of a sudden you have some